Hello and welcome to another day of streaming live our game development of our game currently called Dream Machine. I'm Joshua Blair, the CEO and founder of Icebreaker Games. Thank you guys for joining us today. So, excuse me, yesterday we left off working on our bunker scene here, and we had just now started with setting up some interactions in our scene. So if I go ahead and play this, you can see our character here. If we run over to the fridge area, we can now see we have this GUI kind of pop up that says, hey, press E to open. And we can then open the fridge and close the fridge. So this is the type of interaction that we're going to want kind of throughout this bunker scene. And, so today I'm thinking we're going to go around, kind of see what we can play around with, what can we change. We want to be able to do quite a few things with this particular scene. I think the more stuff that we can do for the player, the better. But I am going to avoid anything that takes too much of an animation. For example, I may not set up anything to sit in the chair just yet, because it's going to take an animation or like a transition that's going to take the player to have to sit into that chair. But anything that can just involve opening or shutting of like cabinets, or maybe turning on the TV, turning on lights, any kind of interaction like that, I think we should be able to set up and do fairly easy. So let's jump right into it. So I'm thinking maybe the first one we do might be just the TV. I think that would be pretty simple to do. So let's jump into that quickly. I do want to make a change real quick, and bear with me here. I forgot to change our stream info today. There we go. Alright, so now I'm back on the Unity project here. And so what we can do is we created a Playmaker script here for this refrigerator. And so it's pretty simple. It's very easy to do. I love Playmaker. It makes everything easier. It's a visual scripting solution. I definitely recommend checking it out if you're not too strong with coding. It's definitely one way to do it. It's not Bolt. Bolt is the free version of Unity's visual scripting. And I haven't really played around with Bolt, so I don't really know too much about it and whether or not it's better than Playmaker. I've just been using Playmaker for so long now that I really enjoy using it, and I think it's amazing. So I'm gonna pretty much stick with Playmaker pretty much throughout this series. Now there are stuff that we do create regular scripts with from time to time. Sometimes it's just easier, quicker to do it one way or the other. The majority of the time, and almost every time, to me, Playmaker works great. So in this particular instance, we can just go ahead and copy this Playmaker FSM, and we're gonna add this to the TV here. And so what I'm thinking is, obviously we're gonna rename it, we're gonna change some stuff, but I'm just thinking the TV gets turned on and off. We're gonna call this TV trigger, and I do want to move this object now into the dynamic folder here. I just want to keep track of this particular object and keep it separate from just these static items. I know it's not really going to move there's no real animation to it. It's just going to turn off and on. Whereas the refrigerator actually kind of had an animation where it moved. I still am going to want to keep track of that. This is an interactable item. So we do need to add another box collider. I'll go ahead and do that. But this one is going to be a trigger. Let's go ahead and edit that. We're going to need it to stick out a little ways from the TV here. Basically, the player gets close enough to the TV and it's going to trigger some type of pop-up, some type of response. I think that will work just fine. And then if we go into the script here, we do already have all this pretty much set up from the other one, so we just kind of have to fine-tune it a little bit. Mostly, you know, the way I do this is I label stuff that's blue, and that's stuff that gets dragged in, referenced from the hierarchy. So a lot of times the reason why I label this stuff blue is because that's what I need to change. Whenever I copy it into a new script, that's the first stuff I need to look at. Most of these other ones I don't necessarily need to change. However, we aren't going to be doing an actual animation, so I can go ahead and delete these. And I'm going to rename this too. I'm going to name I'm going to say on, and then we're going to call this off. So basically turn TV on versus turn TV off. Now we also have a Boolean value called is open. That doesn't really apply, so we're going to call it is on. And then we do still have this, our text reference. We're going to want to keep that, but we're going to change the wording of it. We're not going to say press E to turn off. And on this one, we can say press E to turn off. I'm not necessarily sure that we need to be that specific with the players. You know, players I think have gotten pretty smart these days. You know, they kind of know what's going to happen when they come up to an item and press E. So, you know, eventually we could probably turn that concept off, but for now, just to kind of highlight, especially for the stream, that we can actually interact with that item, I think I'm going to leave it up there. Let's see if there's anything else that needs to be changed. We'll change the name of this to is on. All right. At this point, the text is gonna, if we play this real quick, if we come close enough to this TV, the text will show up. Press E to turn on. And then if we push E, it'll say turn off. So we can sit here and toggle this, but it's not actually doing anything with the TV yet, right? So in the TV itself, we have this plane here, and maybe I should have named it something a little bit more specific, but we can just call it TV on. We're basically just going to turn this on and off like this. Of course, we could fade it in and out. You know, we could do something where it shrinks to the center. You know, different things like that might make it look a little bit more appealing. But at least for now, I think we're just going to toggle that on. So all we got to do is add an activate game object here. And we're going to specify the owner here as this TV plays, so that now turns this action to blue. And we can just copy this action here, change this now to off. Also, you notice our TV is always, it's on when we first start. So I'm gonna go ahead and check this value is on to true, just for the start of it. So now if we walk over to the TV, you can see it says turn E to turn off, and bam. we have a nice on and off concept here for the TV. Pretty easy. All right. Of course, we're going to want to add sound to that eventually. Excuse me. You know, a nice TV flicker on and off, but I'm thinking, at least for now, I'm going to just continue with the interactions, and then we'll incorporate sounds as we go a little bit later. Another one, we could turn on this radio here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this now into our dynamic folder here. And I'm going to go ahead and add the box collider. Now, on this particular one, we might have to be a little clever with it. Where do we want the player to be able to turn it on? So, you know, I can walk up to this side and maybe toggle it on and off, and maybe we can even toggle it off from this corner here. Now, what do I want to avoid is eventually we are going to put some type of trigger here for the pouches. So we don't want to interfere or interact with those too much. We don't want to kind of bleed into that area. So I think this should work. We may have to scale this back just a little tiny bit. But we still want it readily, you know, available. We don't want to have to jump up on something in order to be able to turn on the radio. I think that'll work. We'll go ahead and copy the TV one because we don't need an animation again. And I'll rename this to radio. Let's go ahead and edit this. We can leave most of this stuff the same, is on and whatnot. But we do want to change this. I'm sorry, this one should have been marked blue as well. I'll go ahead and do that. On our other TV script. And then on this one, these, at least for now, are not going to be, they're just going to be default for now. But you'll see that the big thing about turning the radio on is going to be sound. So at some point we're going to change these to toggle an actual sound on and off. It could just be static, it could be warning, could be radio, actual like music. I doubt there'd be much music in the apocalypse, so I'm thinking static or an emergency signal of some type would be appropriate. So if we go ahead and play test this, now if we get close enough to the radio there, we have a nice turn off feature. Let's try it from this other angle, and yep, it works. But if I get close enough to here, you can see it's not showing up anything, and also here. So we should be able to still get into those couches without too many issues. I do want to change one aspect of it. I don't think the radio will be on standard, so we're gonna go ahead and toggle that off. Now we have the radio done. Pretty easy. Again, gonna take a look at this prop here. We do have separate doors, so we can open this and animate this as well. I think this will be the next object we work on. I'm gonna go ahead and drag this into dynamic, and we'll go ahead and set up that box collider, that trigger. This is gonna get pretty repetitive, I bet. And we're gonna go ahead and edit that trigger. Go out. Yeah, I think that's good. Don't have to go out too far. And then I'm gonna copy the fridge for this one because we are gonna need an animation. I don't know if it's a cabinet or a cupboard or whatever you want to call this thing. Officially, it's called a cabinet up there, so I'm gonna just stay with cabinet. We are gonna go ahead and create the animation for it. And we're just gonna call it cabinet open. And we'll go ahead and press record here. Like most of my other streams, I tend to go around 2 seconds is where I start. The animation time. 2 seconds just happens to seem like the perfect amount of animation time. You can speed it up, slow it down, however you guys want. But I think for now, this is a good amount of time. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to select each individual door, and we're going to kind of open these up to the limits here. We want that one opened, and this one opened. We could probably go one more, maybe. Can't tell. That clipped in there. Let's slow down a little bit. Nope, doesn't look like it's clipping into the. Doesn't look like it's clipping into the cabinet there, or the sink. I think that'll be good. Let's preview that. We got them both opening. I like it. So now we are going to adjust that animator, and just like the one we did for the fridge, we're going to set up just an idle blank state here. We're going to have the two different triggers. For open and close. And then we're going to go ahead and make the transition open here. We don't need an exit time, and we're just going to say the condition is the open trigger. And then I'll just copy this. This is kind of the trick of the trade here, and I'll just put -1 for the close, and then we can just name this close. We don't actually have to set up a new animation for this. And so on this one, we just have the close, and then once it's finished closing, it just goes right back to the idle state, and we're good to go. If we head back over to Playmaker now, we have this set animation trigger, which is on the owner. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to change anything here either. So honestly, I think that's everything. Basically, all we had to do is rename that Playmaker script. That's it. Now we have E to open, cabinets open. Oh, we did forget to turn off the loop. I'm not sure why that happens, but in Unity, anytime you create a new animation, it's going to pre-checked as a loop, and we don't want that. Now if we go into it, we got a nice open concept, and we have the close concept. All right. Of course, we're gonna have to fill these things up now that we can open them. We're gonna have to put stuff in the fridge. We're gonna have to put stuff in the cabinet. Um, so that's gonna be a little bit more of a design decorating concept. So, all right. We got this object here too, another cabinet, just a smaller one. It does have doors as well. So we're gonna go ahead and do the exact same concept here. So I'm gonna drag this into our dynamic folder. Starting to sound like a broken record here. Let's copy that trigger here. We probably don't even have to rename this thing. Sorry, not the trigger, but the FSM. And we're gonna go and add the new box collider, make it a trigger, edit it here. That looks good. And then I don't even think we need to do anything in the actual FSM. But we do need to create that animation again. We'll go over here to animation, we'll create a new one. Now, we already have a cabinet open, so I'm just gonna call this a cabinet 2. Go ahead and record. Now, I mean, there are ways to reuse, animations. You don't always have to use or create a whole new animation every single time. But in this particular circumstance, the angle of the doors are going to be changed. All the transforms are different. So in this case, it's better just to create a new one. Here, open that up to its limit here. Do the same for this one. I think that looks fine. Preview it. Looks good. Let's go ahead and turn off that loop. And we're going to do the exact same thing in the animator that we did with the other one. Create an empty state. Call it idle. Set it as the default. I guess it doesn't matter which one to do first, but I always want to do the open trigger first. So we'll call that one open. And close. And we can't forget to set this to -1, so it closes it. Now if we play test this, everything should work here. Press E to open. Opens and closes. I like how it's missing a handle there, but it does still work. All right, so we do have some interactions now with the two cabinets here. I think this dynamic folder now, or this dynamic game object, is getting a little crowded. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new empty game object. I'm going to call it interactables. Not even sure if that's a word or not, but it works for this particular case. And so now anything we can interact with will go into this area here. All right, so you can see what's highlighted are all the interactables we have in this particular scene, or at least in this room here. Of course, this is going to get higher and higher. I mean, I think we should be able to play the piano at some point. I like how there's like a key missing there. We should be able to sit down in all of the chairs, including the stool there. Of course, we'll be able to sit down on the floor. That's already kind of built into the player, or will be. Just a regular sit feature. I don't think we need to do anything with these TVs. We could open and close this. I don't know if there's much need for that. But I guess let's go ahead and do that since it is an option here. I'll drag this into interactables. Let's create a new box collider. And we're gonna just drag this out like the other ones. Now there is an animation, so I'm gonna go ahead and copy this particular FSM. And we're gonna name this, I don't know, part cleaner. I don't know if anybody's actually used or seen one of these, but I've used one before. They're pretty cool. Essentially, you can put in your parts inside here that are oily or whatnot, and you can pour kind of a chemical on them and just kind of strip off all that oil. I don't think we need to change any of this stuff. We are leaving this open most of the time. So I'm going to go ahead and check this. It's just telling us we don't have an animator on this object yet, but we are going to set that up now. So that error will go away. And we'll call it part cleaner. Let's record. We'll go over to 2 seconds. There's actually a hose too that you can animate, but we don't need to do that. And we just need to close this down here, I think. I think we're gonna have to eyeball this a little bit. Oop. Definitely did not mean to do that. Now if we preview this, go ahead and go to the end here. I think that'll work. Of course, we want to make sure it's not looped. And we need to set up this animator again. Now, technically, I can copy the animators from the other one and then just change out the actual motion. I think eventually I'll just do that. Might be a little bit quicker and less repetitive. All right. I think we now have an interaction with this. So we can hit close. And it's acting a little crazy. We did unloop it here. is open. Close. Huh. Not sure why it's doing that. Let's take a look again. Take a look at the animator here. Not sure what happened there. I think there was some type of bug, actually. Take a look now. Oh. So it is open here. Take a look here. We're in the zone here. And that is correct. It fires. Does not like that close animation. It's weird that all the other ones will work just fine, and then all of a sudden this one decides it does not want it. Now it's actually closed. Right, because we're still in the preview. We're in the idle state. Oh, I know what it is. Because it's open from the start. This is our first one where it's open to start, where all the cabinets were closed. So we need to reverse this. We need to start off with the close here, and then go to open next. If that makes sense. We're gonna close first. I don't know why I didn't catch that earlier. Alright, so E to close. Oh. Still having problems. Technically, from an idle stand, if we wanted to just copy and make this a generic animator here and apply it to a bunch of stuff, you could technically make separate transitions from the idle position. You could say, hey, this is, if you want to open it, do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and drag this animator off into my other screen. I know you guys can't see it, but that way I can take a look at it. For some reason it closes, but then pops back open again. Let's go ahead and do this differently here. Well, not too much different, but we're gonna go ahead and delete this animation here. And we're gonna create a new one. I shouldn't have named it open. You guys probably noticed that, but I didn't. So part cleaner close is the actual animation. And let's record. We do pretty much everything exactly the same still. I'll have to eyeball it here. Thing like that. It closes pretty good. Turn off preview. Unloop it. So if we go into the animator here, let's delete all this stuff. We still have the idle here. And you can just drag in the part close here. And then we'll copy this one. This one goes to -1. That was our issue. We had close -1. Or we called it open and we made it -1. That was our issue all along. And then we'll do close. But this one I guess is open. Man, we're just confusing ourselves here. Because it's backwards to what we were doing. So this is close, and this one should be open. And I think now we're golden. We're good now. Close. Bam. Open. Bam. Good to go. Sorry about that. Getting a case of the Fridays here. Okay, so I don't think this cabinet has... Oh, it does have some stuff. Wow, that's actually has a lot of stuff. We got the doors here. We got the drawers. Man, you can even pull out the drawers. That's pretty awesome. I almost think we could cycle through a bunch of animations here. I don't know. There's really not a need for it. I mean, I don't think we're gonna hide anything for the player to collect here. But, you know, you could sit there and push E and cycle through the animation. I think that would be kind of cool. A little bit different than what we've been doing. I hate to let something like this toolbox here with all these options just kind of go to waste here. So at least this particular interactable is going to be different than what we've done so far here. And so let's go ahead and start off with the trigger. I don't think we're going to do any kind of triggers here. So I think this should be fine. Same with here, we probably won't have anything. So in general, I think this is going to be fine. I don't think it's going to bleed into anything else, overlap anything else. We are going to have some animations here, so I'm going to copy this FSM. But this one's going to take quite a bit more concepts that we haven't done yet. We'll call this tool chest trigger. And let's take a look. So actually, before we do that, let's define a crap ton of animations. So we essentially have, would be 1, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 11. Yeah, 11 different animations here. I'll create a new folder here. I'll call this tool chest. Now when we create these animations, we want it actually on the root object here. The first one will be kind of the standard, like we've been doing already. Come on. There we go. It didn't want to scroll. First one will be just kind of the standard, open these cabinet or these doors here. That'll work. Then we're going to create a new one here. And we're just going to call these like Well, I'll call them drawer 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. I'm wondering if maybe we could make these a little bit quicker. Yeah, could make these quicker for sure. All right, let's create new one here. Call this drawer 2. I don't even know if we need to have them all come out the exact same distance, but we do want them all to be at about a second. We just got to do this 10 times. Pretty fun stuff here, guys. Halfway there. Means we're gonna have to put tools in all these things too now. Almost there. And so what we're going to do now that we have all these animations, we're going to create kind of just a cycle where we can sit there and press E and it just cycles through all the different drawers you can open up. We're not going to manually open and close anything. It's going to do it all for us as we cycle through. Might make more sense once we get going here. And there we go. We have all of the animations done. I will say, I think I forgot to put the tool chest open into the actual tool chest folder. We'll do that. Now let's take a look at this playmaker thing. So we don't need this Boolean value anymore. It gave us a warning because it's being used. And we could probably go ahead and just get rid of these. I do want to keep the text stuff. We are going to change. We don't want that. We're going to say press. Not working here. Let's copy this one and paste it in. Maybe we just call it press E to cycle. I think we only really need just one of these. So now the player can trying to find a way to position this where it makes a little bit more sense here. So the player can walk into the trigger zone. It activates the text. It's going to say press E to cycle. Now you're going to press E. Let's just say you don't press anything and you leave. It's going to head back here, deactivate that text, and send you back to the start idle position. You will need a actual animation cycle state here. And we could probably be fairly clever how we do this, because if we look at this animator now, we have all of these states here. I'm gonna go ahead and create that empty idle state. What did I do? Idle. Put this at default. And so what we're going to want it to do is just every single time if you trigger the button, I'm going to call this cycle, and you just make a transition. This done, you know, when people just try to show off, like let's say for example you created some type of model, you know, like an animal or a spider, zombie, whatever, you name it, and you want to show off all the different animations you've created for them in some type of video form. A lot of them will do something similar to this, and they don't actually put a trigger in between on these transitions. They just let it cycle on its own. Once it's done, once it gets through the animation, it just automatically goes to the next. Now on this very last and we gotta do this a little bit differently. I also need to turn off all of these loops. And what we're gonna do, this a little differently than what we're originally thinking here. We need to do the reverse animation as well before we move on to the next animation. So this is going to be the cycle trigger, and then when we cycle again, it's going to then close the chest, and maybe we do it just a little bit faster. Let's say -2 here. See how that works. and then it's going to automatically go to this next. I'll delete these transitions here. It's going to automatically go to this next one. Once it's done, and it's going to open up this new drawer. And then we'll have another here. Call this drawer 1 close. And we'll have this also be that cycle trigger. And once it's done, go here. And we'll do this one -2a. So we're just gonna keep doing this all the way across the board. I don't know why every time it wants to paste way up there. I just copy and paste all of these real fast. Instead of doing them one at a time. Go. And I'll rename them all. Probably doesn't matter too much if I named them, but I think in general, you know, it helps. I'm gonna, since this animation going to the next state or next drawer is just a standard transition, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that a bunch of times. And this final one goes all the way to here. We don't need that transition no more. And then we do need a bunch of these trigger. I don't think you can copy the actual transition. So we'll just have to do this a bunch of times. We gotta make sure to take off that exit time. I don't know how many, you know, animator controllers you guys have seen, but I mean, this stuff can get pretty crazy. Almost looking like a spider web with all these different transitions. We could have done this several different ways. I think this is probably the easiest way. I don't know. But we could have done something with like maybe an integer value that we can just increase an integer value every single time you press E when you're in the zone, and then based on that integer value is what animation it does. We could have done something like that, but to avoid numbers, I figured we could just do it that way. So now if we look back at here, we just want to trigger that. We just want to trigger that cycle every time. And then once it's done, we're gonna go ahead and here's the interesting part. I think we're gonna go ahead and cycle back here because we could technically stay in the zone and just keep pressing it, and then but this will still handle if the player exits. I think this works pretty good. Take a look. And actually, I remembered something that we didn't do in the animator. We need to set these all to -2 here. Alright, hopefully this works. We come up, hit E to cycle. We got the cabinets that open. If we push E again, they close, and the new one opens. New one opens. Look at that. We can always leave, come back, and it's just going to remember the spot and go on to the next. Then eventually be closed, and then we could start all the way over again. Now we could create some random, concepts here, so it doesn't do it in that exact order every single time. But I think that works pretty good there. Random is always good in a video game, but in some cases it could be frustrating. In this particular case, I think we're fine leaving it the way it is. I'm looking at what we could potentially do more animations to, or any more interactables here. Obviously, the big one is going to be the actual Dream Machine, and I can't wait for that day when we decide to do that, because you're going to be able to go up to the sleep machine, and it's going to pop up what sleep level you're going to want to go into. So there's going to be 10 different sleep levels. Each one is going to be a different point in history, starting from medieval times, going all the way to right up before the apocalyptic event. And so you're going to have to do them in order, but once you complete them all, you will be able to go back and redo them if you want. So we will have 10 different levels, and then once you select the level, then the player will actually get into the Dream Machine, and it'll load that new level. So I can't wait to get to that point. It's going to be pretty cool. We could create something here. I want to say, let's take a look. With this lid, we could probably just maybe slide it back a little bit. We don't have too much room. But we could slide it back to something like that. Maybe kind of reveal something inside. I'll go ahead and drag this into our interactables. I like to keep my hierarchy locked. I hate having to, when I click on an item, it's going to find it in the hierarchy. I hate that. And then we have all this extra stuff opened up that we don't need. I keep it locked the majority of the time. Let's go ahead and create a new box collider. We will set the trigger. We could probably give a little bit more space there. Something like that. Technically, we could even raise this up a little bit since it's so short. Something like that would be fine. Make sure it's a trigger though. And once again, we are going to do an animator, so I think it's closed normally, so I think we should do something. Just copy this cabinet one. All right, let's go ahead and set up the animation for this. And we're just going to call it crate open. I don't know why. Normally you can just use the mouse wheel to scroll here, and then this is lagging for me. Animator. Come on. It's been getting hard to get to 2 seconds here. Huh. Now it's stuck. Let's just go with 150 then. Actually, you know, now that I think about it, we're only sliding that little bit of distance. So maybe we can make this 1 second here. And so we want to just slide this up until it starts to kind of clip into the cables there. Just a little tiny bit. Something like that, I think, will work just fine. Preview it. That looks good. Go ahead and unloop it. Let's take a look at the animator here. So now, remember I was telling you we could copy this concept. So we could technically just do this. Paste this in like that. That's one way of doing it. It doesn't come with the triggers when you do it that way. You could also just copy the animator controller itself. I will rename these though. And you're also going to want to drag in this new animation here. I actually put these in the crate. Yep. Don't need those in the crate. I don't know how much quicker doing it that way is. But now our transitions are still good, even though we didn't even have those triggers. But once we created them, it's like, hey, okay, I recognize them, and if we double check our FSM, we still have the open and close. We have E to open, E to close, so everything here looks like it's gonna work. Go over and take a look at it. E to open. Nope. E to close. Of course it did. And the weird thing is we're not, according to this, we're not on any state. Alright, so you can't see it, it's on my other screen, but we do have an idle animation now. And so now if I push E, it opened it, and then if I push E, it closes it. So it's working now. I don't know what the issue was, or you can see the animator now. I didn't make any changes, just decided now it was going to work. And I know that just that little bit of a slide animation isn't really much, but you know, we could put something pretty cool in there that shows up with that slide. I mean, something that's glowing, something that's biohazard, radioactive, whatever we want to do, we could put something cool in there, so at least it rewards the player a little bit. So these, I thought about maybe potentially letting the player rotate these these handles here, but we actually don't have a separate like model for the actual handle there. So we wouldn't be able to rotate it. We'd end up having to rotate the entire thing. And that would be pretty obvious. So we won't be able to do that. There were some buttons, switches, computers. I don't think we should let him do much of those. Same thing with these valves. Nothing is separate, so we wouldn't be able to rotate those. Now we can do the doors. So we have the two different ones here. I'm gonna go ahead and move both of them into the interactables here. But we can just do this in the actual prefab. So it'll be applied to both of them in all doors, all these doors from now on. So what I'll do, open this. Can't remember which side is which. I think this is inside, this is outside, so that'll work. Create a new box collider, and we'll have it be a trigger. And I don't know, we don't want it too far out. I think something like that is gonna be fine. And actually, let's isolate it more to being in front of the door. Now, do we want to be able to close the door from the other side? I think we do. So let's adjust that as well. Something to that extent. Right. I think that's good. We may have to do some clever stuff with the door itself. If we're closing the door, I don't know if we want it to push the player. I don't know. We'll have to take a look at that and see what I think. But you can see the trigger now is applied to both doors there. And so we can do essentially the same concept as like the parts washer. It's already going to be opened, and so we can copy this component, and let's go ahead and paste it as new. I guess it doesn't really matter which one we do first, but for now I'd like to do this one, and we're going to just call it door trigger. Edit this one. Of course, we don't have an animation. And let's back out. This one is going to be door. They're already in the open position. These particular ones, anyway. So I'm going to call this door close. Now we can get to 2 seconds here. Good. And we're gonna want to not do that. Won't rotate it from its pivot. that's back down to 0 here. We preview that. Close. Okay. Also, we're going to go ahead and apply this to the prefab. We're going to go ahead and apply this. Actually, I'll wait, just in case we need to make some changes on this one. I think we do, though. That's fine. I'll go ahead and apply this to the prefab as well. Forgot to unlock or lock my hierarchy back up. Now both of these have the Playmaker script and both of these have the animator, but we didn't finish setting up the animator. We're going to do that same concept as we've done a million times before. I am curious if both doors are already opened up the same amount of degrees. That could have a change or an effect here. Not negative 10, negative 1. Open that. Close it. Good. And the reason why I asked that is because we're applying the see here, close, open, and doing some weird stuff there. We applied the animation to this particular one, which if you look at the door, it was opened up to 120. This one though was 150. So we want the animation to apply kind of equally. But let's troubleshoot here. I don't know why we always have a problem with doing it in the reverse order here. I do think, take a look. Oh, this has now become a prefab. That's part of the issue, I think. Let's what we're gonna do is just we're gonna copy this FSM, but we're not gonna make it part of the prefab. And I think these are exactly the same, so I don't think I need to adjust them. And I did mess up the animator again because we want these switched around here. So we want the transition to be close the door first. And then we want to open. I think just instinct, I always do it the other way around. I think I just do that without even really thinking. That does not need an exit time. I think this is going to work better now. Hopefully. Alright, E to close. See it push the player a little bit. Open. E close. Go. Close. Of course, we can add some pretty cool sounds to this at some point. But yeah. That appears to be working pretty good. Yep. Doors. Let's see. Was there anything in here? I don't think so. I think there's anything really that we need to interact with there. Probably not there. Eventually we will do this door, but I don't want to worry about that yet. And getting into this room, definitely we are gonna make it so we can get into here at some point. My idea, I don't know if you guys have watched some of the other streams, but my idea here is this is the gun racks, the gun cage. And so once the father says, hey, you have to leave the bunker, the player is going to have to come up to this gun rack, and finally now you'll have the key, and you'll be able to grab a gun, and then you'll be able to leave. I don't think... I mean, it'd be funny if we could turn off the generator and just lose all power. But we are going to have those kind of concepts eventually, because I don't know how much I've talked about this, but we're going to set it up where the player has to bring back fuel. And so if you run out of fuel, the bunkers, or the generator is going to lose power, the bunker is going to go dark, and so when you come back, you're going to be like, what is going on here? We will have the player sit here. Now this, the lockers here, looks like we can open these up here. There is a door here. Of course, we don't want to open it that way. We want to open it this way. And this could end up being one of those cycle animations. Kind of looking to see what else there is. We could also do a cycle animation here with the drawers, I think. Nope. I'm gonna go ahead and drag both of these into the interactables. The fan, though, I was thinking, we could do something with the fan, but the blade is not separate, so we wouldn't be able to rotate that fan. The fan is a no-go. We will not be able to interact with the fan here. Of course, lights. At some point, we may say, hey, you can turn lights on and off. You'll be able to interact with the bed. Or both beds. Here's another object we could probably interact with, but it's just going to be sound based. I like how all his drawers are already kind of open and, all drawn out, so we don't need to do anything there. We probably will do a toilet interaction animation, maybe allow the player to use the restroom. I've seen a bunch of games do that. It seems to bring kind of some humor to the game itself, so I think I'm fine with that. We do have some more cabinets here, and they're the exact same ones as the living room, or sorry, the kitchen here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add these to the prefab. So there was the trigger. Here's the animator. We'll do the same thing for this. Apply it to the prefab. And then I'll just copy the cabinet components here. Or the FSM. Paste that in there. Do the exact same thing for this one. Now we are going to have some overlap here. If you look at the gizmos, you can see one cabinet goes that far, and then the other cabinet goes that. We're going to have to adjust these. It's a tight spot, so it's going to be a little interesting here. Hoping something like that work. The doors, though, might push the player out of the way. But we also need to move these to the interactable folder here. This was... Oh, yeah, we want to keep that. It's compiling the shader, but at some point we're going to fake... Not really... yeah, I guess kind of fake. I mean, you guys would have to go to the website and look at kind of the twist in this particular story, but at some point we're going to say that the father has passed away. But also later in the story, if you aren't bringing back food and supplies for the bunker, I'd like to make it where the father will pass away. So best ending in the game, if there even is going to be an ending. It's hard to have an official ending in survival games, but best ending would be you kept the father alive for X amount of days. Maybe he dies from old age instead of dying from lack of supplies. And then worst case, he dies real quick, you know. I don't think we should do anything with the bathtub. We could potentially do something with the sink. I don't think... You can't actually like adjust the lever there, but we could create some type of water animation there. So let's test these two and then see if we can find something for the water concept here. All right, so we got this cabinet. Opens pretty good. And then that cabinet, which does not open as good because of the barrels there. And we can get into both triggers here. You know what I'm gonna do? Is this one is not going to... Not gonna have a trigger. So we're only going to be able to interact with this one. We're not going to be able to interact with that one. I think that's fine. We could even potentially put like a lock on it. Just a hint to the player, like, hey, you can't get in here. Sorry. This is where maybe the father stores all the chemicals or something. Even just doing something like that. We would put it up higher. Of course, it doesn't make sense that there's not actual metal clipping there, but I don't think we need to be too worried about that. We could preview here. We could find just like a piece of metal, something, and manipulate it here. No, this is concrete and not metal, but I'm just looking for the color more than anything. Kind of what I'm thinking is, you could put this behind the lock, have it make a little bit more sense instead of just having a floating lock here. Something like that. Could potentially even pull it out. That. There you go. Doesn't look too bad. So that's locked. You can't get into it, guys. Good stuff in there. Let's see. So that one was fine. We'll do the cycle animations here and here. Let's take a look at what we have for water. Now, ideally, we would have some type of particle effect here. So some type of splash. You can see this. This is maybe, well, definitely a little bit too much. See, we have impact water. That's when you shoot the water. I think we have a couple more. Here we go. Here's a water drip. Not sure. We could make this look good here. Now, we also have a water ripple. That's also big leg stuff. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything specific for this. I mean, we could find something over time. We could also put just a little bit of water already in there. But it's gold plating. I don't necessarily think we need that at this point. I mean, I know a lot of this interactable stuff is gold plating, but I do, like I said and been saying for a while, I do want you to be able to do some stuff while you're in the bunker, just kind of messing around in between the levels. Aside from the cycle animations, and the kind of lay down and sit down animations, I think we're getting to a point where that's all we needed. So let's go ahead and let's do this drawer here. I'll start off by making the dresser folder and the dresser animations. So we'll go ahead and create those. And like I said, we're just going to cycle through them. So there's 6 drawers again. I'll just call this drawer 1. Alright, so Drawer 1. I think we just determined 1 second was fine. So we'll open that. Create a new clip. Drawer 2. Three. Halfway there. Drawer 4. And lastly, drawer 6. All right, we have all those animations here. Let's take the cycle FSM here. So I'll add that here to the dresser. And I'm just double checking this. I think once again, I think we don't need to make any major changes. I think it's just going to be good to go. We didn't, however, put the box collider and the trigger. I'll do that. Give a little bit more space. And actually, now that I think about it, I do want to give these doors just a little bit more space as well on these triggers. A little bit. Something like that. And then we'll apply that to the prefab. Felt like you had to get really close to the door in order to open and close it. Especially since the door itself can actually push the player. I didn't really want. Okay, so where were we? I think we were at this animator for the dresser. Alright, so now with the animator itself, we have all of this good stuff here. Oh, I feel like I renamed something. Alright, go. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. I forgot we gotta set the close concept here. We're gonna set these to -2, just like the other ones. Let's create our trigger called cycle. And I'm just gonna do the normal transitions here now. And do these ones. But we have to remember to set this to the trigger. Alright, once it gets to this very last one and it closes, it's going to go back to this idle animation, and then don't need an exit time there, but we do need the very first cycle. Open. Not quite organized the way it looks, but should work. Take a look. Gotta run over there real quick. And there we go. Oh. Did forget on major concepts. We do not need these loop time. Let's try again. Alright, so we are having problems with the animator. I'm gonna take a look at that in my other screen. And it looks like we had two different transitions going. I think that was the issue. We had a transition leaving from drawer 1 to drawer close. Too many transitions. And I deleted the wrong one. Oh my gosh, come on. Maybe if I had organized this a little better, I would have noticed that stuff. Let's take a look here. That looks better. Okay. I think we got it this time, guys. Hope. Go. Yep. Looks good. And then if we close that, it goes back to the very beginning. That works. One more interactable down. I did forget about these lockers as well. And these lockers look like they actually have drawers in them too. I want to do something different with these lockers. What I'm thinking is it'd be cool to have our outfits being dedicated to this locker and our loadouts being dedicated to this locker, this area. Basically, when you collect more outfits or collect more weapons and you come back to the bunker and you want to change the way your guy looks or what weapons you're holding, then you would go to this locker for your look, for your outfit, and then this locker for your guns, ammo. So it's going to have more purpose than just being a simple interactable. Right. We do want to cycle this one. But add our box collider. I think this is going to be our last interactable here. And maybe we can start working on finding some sounds for these things. Something like that. We'll probably even come over to hit that. That's good. And then let's go ahead and create our animations again. And we'll go ahead and create a new folder. Call this locker. And we'll just call this door 1. We want to open it a decent amount of ways so that you can see inside of there. I think 120 degrees will work. I am worried about that particular one, but this will work. We don't actually have to open them all the same. Take a look at that. That looks good. Go ahead and create the new clip. Door 2 after 1 second. 120 seems to work for that one too. And lastly, door 3. Door 3, I don't think we're going to be able to make it. 120. Might have to go to good old 105. Alright, so we have our locker animations there. We have our box collider. We just need a cycle FSM here. I'll pull the one off of the dresser here. And once again, I think this FSM is going to work just fine. But we have to adjust the animator. Hopefully I'm getting better at this. Doing it over and over and over again. I feel like since I am doing it over and over again, I feel like I almost make more mistakes trying to hurt. Looks good. Let's test it out. That up, and we did forget to change the loop, but everything else is working good. There's always something, right? You always forget something. They would be totally perfect. But I think that's good. Now, let's shift gears a little bit and we will look at some sounds. I think we got a little bit more time today. So let's look at potential sounds. I'd like to start with maybe the TV. I think that would be fun. And so I'm going to go ahead and open what I really like to use, and that is called Artlist. Now I'll put a link in the description, and maybe even on the screen, but there is a discount that you can get by using this using my link, and so it's a little bit cheaper if you go that route. I will say Artlist is worth every penny. Let's switch over to my other monitor here. Now you can see what's really cool about Artlist is not only do we have a bunch of music concepts, but we also have sound effects here. And so we can just do any type of sound effect we want. Let's just say, I don't know, let's just see what we have available for TV. So you can see right off the bat we got TV power button switch on and off, 15 seconds. I don't know how much you can hear that, but there's a nice preview for each of these.
No, wait.
This looks like a TV channel. There you go. There's like a beep sensor, and you can go through all of these and download them. And when you download these, you can use these on your YouTube videos, your TikTok, any of your social medias. You can use this in your game as long as you're paying for this subscription. So I do like something like that, but we may do. This has kind of that switch sound to it, and so I am going to go ahead and do that. I usually do WAV files, so that's what I'm going to pick. So we might have a couple different sounds here. We might do the wave, or sorry, the on sound and the off sound, and then also kind of like a, if we can find sorry, lost my train of thought there. But if we can find something like this, the no signal sound, we don't need that switch off part. Man, I mean, it's perfect, but gonna get a little annoying. Wow.
Breaking news.
But yeah, you can see though, there's just tons and tons of stuff. I mean, sometimes I'll go through here and I'll spend a lot of times trying to find stuff that I like. I'm gonna download this tone, this beep. And so going back into the Unity here, we do have this audio folder. We only had the Icebreaker games, kind of ice. ice sound here. But I'm gonna go into our downloads, and we do now have this switch on and off sound. I think I'm gonna go ahead and edit this with, I like to use Audacity. And what I'm thinking is, if there's two different sounds, one for on, one for off, we're gonna want to isolate those. So let's take a look. There's that on. I don't know what any of that is. And then there's kind of an off at the very end here. We really only need probably up to here for on. I'm gonna export that as a wave. And let's see. We gotta find our. We have a support folder here. I'll create a new folder called audio. We're just gonna call this TV on. Let's call it switch on. And then I'm going to go ahead and undo the delete, and I'm going to now change it to the off. It might be almost the identical sound, but even if it's just slightly different, I think we should go with it. So we'll call this off. So that'll work. And then as far as the beep goes, we might want that particular one. We might want to make some changes to it. And what I'm thinking is, we don't want it to be too obnoxious. I'm going to open this one back up into Audacity. Let's take a look. Definitely pretty loud. Let's see if we can look at this. Might press this a little bit. Take a look at it. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot better. And I think if we looped this over and over and over again, that we're not gonna notice the difference. Just in case, I'm gonna go ahead and delete off these ends. There we go. And let's go ahead and export that. Call this tone TV tone. And then I'm going to drag those new sounds that we just created into our scene here. We got on, tone, off. And you can tell, look, the on and off are different sounds, so that's going to be perfect. So if we go into our TV here, we go into our Playmaker script, we're gonna have now some audio to play. First time I think in this stream that we're doing this, besides the intro, but I'm doing kind of sound effects. So what we'll do is we're gonna say play sound. Try this again, play sound. And let's see our position, audio clip. First, let's take care of the on and off sounds here. So we have on and off. Take a look at this. Don't know how much you'll be able to hear it. You can see in the hierarchy, it's probably covered up by my camera, but it is definitely playing that one-shot audio, and I can hear it pretty good here. And so I think that's pretty good. But now we're going to want to handle playing that beep noise, that tone, while it's on. The issue is, one, that it's just a non-stop, it's a tone that's constantly. So how do we, play a sound over and over and over? And so we do have this audio loop here. But it requires an audio source, which is fine. We could put an audio source on the TV itself. That's fine. It'll work, but it's actually going to be a little bit more complex than just that, because now we would want to determine how far away you can hear that loop or that tone from. If you can see, if we turn on gizmos, you now have this circle, this sphere, and it's representing that audio source. We go ahead and add the clip, the TV tone into here, and we put this on loop. And we don't need it to play on awake. We need it to play whenever we tell it to, so to speak. We're gonna go ahead and turn this audio source off for now. And instead of doing it that way, all we're gonna really do is turn this on and off. So in this on position, we're gonna enable this audio source, and then on the off position, we're going to disable the audio source. And let's take a look at that. Run over here real quick. Turn it off. We don't hear anything. Turn it on. I'm not hearing it. And that might be because we don't have... Oh, we do have an audio listener. Let's see. Nope, you have... I mean, the sound is working. Try it again. Maybe we need that play on awake. Try to squeeze through here. There we go. Now you can see working just fine. If I get farther away though, we don't want to be able to hear that sound anymore. So we're gonna want that to fade out, go away. And so that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. And we might set our max distance to something like 10 even. Try that. Try to go away. Still seems like it's going pretty good still. I'm also going to decrease the volume on this here. We are running out of time, so I don't know. We might have to work on this later. We haven't really gone into we haven't really done like much with the audio yet, so. And I guess what I'm really trying to say out loud, so we talked about it a little bit in the earlier streams, but what we haven't done yet is we haven't set up an actual mixer yet. And so, you know, with the actual settings, we're going to want to be able to disable music. We're going to want to disable sound effects. We're going to want to adjust the master volume. And so we're going to have to create this entire mixer of sounds or whatnot. So I don't want to spend too much time really worrying about this audio source, because we're going to make some changes here. But I will say, now that we have this annoying tone to the TV, I'm thinking we should not have the TV on to start off. So let's change that. We're going to say, hey, the TV start is off. We go back in here, take a look at that. TV's now off. Says, hey, do you want to turn it on? Now we get that annoying sound. And we can turn it back on. Perfect. Let's see. I'm not sure, but we could take a look real quick. We might be able to find just something easy for maybe a fridge. Let's see what we got here. We got this says fridge door opening and closing, but it doesn't quite sound the way I would like it to. There we go. I like that way better. Not perfect, but it's better. That's a little crazy. And we also might want kind of a hum when the fridge is open. Might be a little bit too much. I think this one, we can work with this. And we might be able to work with this hum as well. I'm gonna download that one too. And then I'm just gonna move those back into our support folder. And of course, we're gonna want to edit these in Audacity. On this one, I don't know how much you can hear. That sound right there, to me, sounds like an opening or closing. This is supposed to be the close. But I think we'll do this one. There we go. Do this one as the open. I'm gonna call this fridge open. Edit that one, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use this other open one that's slightly different. It's kind of the close. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it'll work. I'll go ahead and drag these into the scene here. We got fridge closed, fridge open. Let's find our fridge. Now if we go into Playmaker, again, all we have to do now is just like we did with the TV. We could even copy that if we wanted to. We can now just play that sound. And we're gonna want it doesn't really matter which one really, because they're almost identical, but we can say, hey, this is open. And this one is close. And now, since we're playing a sound on these, I use yellow for sound. Since they were already default, now I'm going to use them as yellow. I know on this one, I left them as blue, and that's just because of that reference still. I still want to know that I dragged in a... Here we don't have a reference, a dragged in reference. We just have the sound, so that's why I went. But I think this will work well. And then when we're in the on position, we can do the audio, the hum as well, which we didn't actually edit that one yet, so we could probably do that real fast. Shouldn't take too long. I'm gonna open it back up in Audacity. I love using Audacity too. It's free and very easy to use, very quick. So I definitely recommend it. So issues, we want to be able to loop this without any of that extra stuff. You can see there's every once in a while somebody just moving around. I'm gonna Take a look. I think that'll work. So we're gonna export this fridge drag it in here, and maybe just to organize things a little better, I'm just gonna create a folder here just for the fridges, and let's create another one for the TV. Now if we go back to the fridge, very similar to the other one, we're going to want to activate this audio source. We have the audio source here. We're going to call this fridge hum. We're going to loop it. I'll do the volume lower again. I'm just going to change this distance for now to 2, even though it's not really doing anything. And then we want to toggle this on and off. All right. And let's take a look. If we come back, is already going. I don't know if you could tell. Forgot to turn that off. Let's go ahead and go back. Let's take a look. Not ideal, but it'll work. Also, the hum also is instant. It instantly turns off. You know, that's something we would want to perfect, where it doesn't officially turn off for, you know, that 2-second delay. But like I said, I think it's working here, and I think we've made some pretty good progress today. I think I'm gonna end it there. We were able to do quite a few interactables. Of course, we're gonna want to fill all these cabinets and whatnot up, but we can actually finally go around and do stuff in the game here. I like how we could just quickly go through here if we need to. Put some cool tools in there. We can close the doors now. Yeah, I think this is looking really good, guys. Let me know what you think. Definitely you can leave comments on the video. You can send me messages on Discord, whatever you guys want to do. But definitely, thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you guys next time.